Welcome to Behind the Tools. Here's Tradify CEO and your host, Michael Steckler.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Behind the Tools this week. Delighted to have Kelvin Townsend from K-Tec Electrical in South Devon in the UK. Kelvin, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Do you maybe want to start, Kelvin, by just talking about your business and size of the company and what you do?
Yeah, so we're a relatively small company. There's myself as owner, and then I've got 2 employees. We're just sort of more residential electrician. We do small commercial, but we're moving into some smart home world too now, so that's cool.
Oh, fantastic. Good stuff. And, how did you get into the trades? You've been doing this for a while now. You've been doing it for 14 years, I think. What kind of got you into the trades? How did you start that journey?
So I left school at 16 and then didn't really quite know what to do, but my uncle is an electrician and I had a chat with him, and then it all sort of started from there really. So I did my apprenticeship from 16 to sort of just over 20, and then I went self-employed at probably about 21, I think. I'd done about 6 years with him, and then went on my own. That was an eye opener.
Do you think that? Sorry to interrupt. Do you think that helps having that seems to come up a lot? So you were 16. You just had no idea really what you wanted to do at that point, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't want to do my A levels or anything. I didn't really enjoy school like that, so I was more of a hands-on person.
Yeah.
So just went with it, and here I am, still doing it.
And do you think without your uncle you would have got into the trades?
I don't know what trade though, but I think it definitely was easy to just go and do that. So.
And what was it about what he was doing that you found appealing?
I've always been intrigued by electrics, I suppose, but it wasn't necessarily what he was doing was appealing. It was just more I kind of fell into that role. I think electrician or plumber probably would have been my choices potentially.
And I'm intrigued in asking the question because I think it seems to be an ongoing challenge is getting, people either encouraged to go into the trades at school age when they're not sure what they want to do or don't necessarily want to go down the university path or A levels or other things like that. Is there things that could have been different at school for you think that would have helped formulate that decision in some way? Did you get that support or not?
No, not really. I think, it was kind of got to the end of GCSEs and then no one really had a clue what they were going to do. I think it's probably better now. Definitely, career choices are definitely better now in school. But I think it was just natural for everyone to go into A levels and then university or something. But wasn't for me.
And so you finished your apprenticeship and then you got into business. Do you want to talk us through that journey of then sort of getting to where you are now, self-employed and running your own business?
So I did sort of 6 years or so with my uncle, and then I decided that I'd give it a go. I was kind of pushed on by sort of family members too, just to give it a go. I did that and haven't really looked back, to be fair. It's all been really good, and now things are getting really, really good, busy, good projects, couldn't ask for much more, I guess.
And how was it working with and this is very common, but how was it working with a family member? I presume you had a good relationship with your uncle.
Yeah, I did. I do, and I still do now. I think it probably made me not kind of be cheeky or anything like that as a 16, 17-year-old. You could probably be quite cheeky to someone else, but I guess family is family, and I didn't.
And was it a good learning experience, sort of working with your uncle and understanding the business a bit more? And did that help formulate your decision as well to go out on your own?
Yeah, definitely. To be fair, I didn't do, probably the first 2-3 years was actually with another guy that worked for him. So I was sort of partnered up with him, and he was more running the business in the background and things like that. So, but I did do my fair share of work with him, and it's good fun. He's a good storyteller and good laugh on site, that's for sure.
Yeah, cool. And you mentioned that, going out on your own, one of the reasons that you did that was encouragement from your family. Was that the sort of, what was the moment that you decided, yeah, this is what I should do? And what helped for, was that the family that pushed you in that direction, or did you reach that conclusion yourself?
Yeah, a bit of both. And also, I guess, money at the end of the day was better on your own.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the natural progression was to go and do that. But it probably wasn't something that I would have done so early without people sort of saying just do it, or just go and do it. I probably would have waited another few years, probably.
Right. It's good.
Yeah,
Good that you got the encouragement. Yeah, and it sounds like it's been good, and you hired more people. And anything. So when you did that, it must have been quite a change from being employed to be sort of running your own business. How did you sort of deal with that pressure? What was the transition like?
Transition was fine, actually. I've always been quite good with people, sort of dealing with customers, having those conversations is something I quite enjoy. But yeah, there's always that stress element of juggling it all. But that's just natural. And also behind the scenes paperwork that you have to do and things like that. But that's just part of it. And I think if you can do it, then you can do really well. It's not for everyone, that's for sure.
Yeah. And did you, from a customer perspective, did you already have customers that you sort of had, that knew you, that you worked with, or how did you approach that?
So we have quite a lucrative area of holiday homes where we are in the south, and that was kind of my good starting block, if you like, of getting smaller jobs and building up quite organically, I guess. But my partner has a holiday cleaning company, and she was able to then push work my way too, and it just worked quite well. But also we're in quite an area where we know a lot of people. We're quite close sort of area, so word of mouth is also massive. Yeah,
cool. That makes it a lot easier, for sure. And was there, sort of being holiday homes, presumably you're more broadly residential now, any impact over the last couple of years on your business? How did you find that experience?
It's got worse. It's gone crazy.
When you say worse, you mean as in worse as in not worse in a bad way?
More busy.
More busy.
Just it's gone manic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why. It just, ever since that first lockdown, it just has gone crazy. Yeah,
we commonly hear that. A lot of people, I think people more at home, more disposable income. If they're not traveling, if they're lucky enough to have disposable income, not traveling.
I'm going to change that.
Needs to do that. Needs to fix stuff. And what was probably the you touched on a few things, but when you started the business, what was the hardest thing you think coming in to run your own business, having done what you did previously?
I don't know what was the hardest. I found it all right, to be fair. But I guess dealing with more financials is different to what I would have done before. So yeah, you start dealing with more money and things like that. So I guess that's probably one of the hardest things, is to keep everything in line and make sure that you don't spend that money.
Yeah. Did you get advice on that? Did you get advice on thinking about things like pricing and how you do that stuff and charge out rates and all those things?
No, I'd sort of picked it up along the way. And sort of just made mental notes and things like that. So yeah, I'm always asking questions, but yeah, that was all
Yeah, it's
good.
good way of doing it. And if you were talking to yourself, sort of 16-year-old you, or probably more likely sort of just after you finished your apprenticeship, what advice would you give to anyone else thinking, actually, I could go out there and probably make a bit more money, starting out on my own? What would be the one piece of advice you'd give them that through your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely say you got to give it a go, and you can't go and live in regret and say what if. So
yeah,
I think definitely got to give it a go. It's not, as I say, it's not for everyone, but I think, yeah, you've got to try it. It's better money, but then I don't know, is it? Because we spend hours every night doing background work. So yeah, but yeah, it is a better way of life, isn't it?
yeah, cool.
I think.
And then when did you make the decision to sort of bring on staff?
So I've always actually had like a subcontractor kind of. I've got a few guys where I can just sort of ring up and book them in to help me. As I say, we're in quite an area where we know a lot of people, and so I've always used subbies, but I took on staff probably just over a year ago, and yeah, it's been good. It's definitely another element of the business which is different. But yeah, I can't complain. It's all good. It's definitely worth doing if you've got the work there, because you've got guys ready for the week. Whereas subbies, they can be a little bit hit and miss. Yeah,
of course. And is that what prompted you to do the hiring? Was that really what you referred it to earlier, the sort of manic workload? Did just things get out of control and you're like, I need more permanent, reliable help?
Yeah. You can only say yes or no to so many people, and I think it got to a point where I was so busy on my own. Just had to do it.
And
so
the two people, did you know them? You talk about sort of having a network there, and everyone, you sort of know everyone reasonably well. How did you approach? It was one thing that many trades companies struggle with, is sort of hiring people, or should I phrase that another way, hiring the right people that are right for the job. And how did you approach that?
Yeah, so the electrician I have, he was in the year below me at school, and
okay,
I knew that he was a good electrician and he'd worked for some good companies too. So I approached him. I think he actually went to do some college lecturing, and he did that for kind of a couple of years. And I approached him about some work after that, and yeah, he was keen. So he's been on now for nearly a year, and the same for the apprentice, Ben, he's 19, and I've known him since he was a young guy. We grew up sort of doing motocross together and things. So I know him quite well, and he was again one of those young kids that didn't really know what to do. So I kind of pushed him into the apprenticeship route and the college route. He kind of didn't want to go to college and stuff. So here he is going to college every week.
Well, that's the irony, but that's great. And it's you make it sound quite easy. I think a lot of people struggle with hiring, but it's important that you've identified that you knew people. And I think where you've got certainly school leavers who aren't sure about what they want to do, it's a really good path for them to take. Cool. And then you touched on the type of work you do. So what keeps you busy today? Is it still similar? It sounds like you've sort of expanded slightly. Can you talk through that?
Yeah, day to day is just kind of like your normal either private sort of work where the client just wants you to do the odd bit and bob and stuff, or working for a few builders now locally, which got some really good projects on. But yeah, just general residential refurbs, rewires, extensions. And then recently we've actually moved into like the smart home world, so we're doing big control for smart home now down in Salcombe, and it's going really well. We're working alongside a smart home company that specialise, and we're sort of being trained up along the way, so that's good.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram that you're doing more of that type of work. And so what prompted you to get into that space? Was it more that a smart home company approached you and said, hey, we need you to come and help with some wiring, and it started with that, or was there more to it than that?
No, so yeah, I've always wanted to get into smart homes, but it's one of those industries where nobody wants to let you know how to get into that industry.
Of course.
And yeah, it's a funny one, but so I went on a course with this smart home company who run courses in the UK, and you become one of their sort of installer partners.
Right.
And therefore, if they were to get a job in our area, then they would use us. And also, us not being control board dealers or certified installers yet, we technically don't have legs to stand on to try and get that job. So we would then use them, and then they work together with us.
Right.
We install it, and they do all the background hard stuff.
Great. And what's the name of the company that you did the training with?
Art of Smart.
Cool, great, because there might be some people listening who sort of are thinking of going in that direction. And is that generating a decent amount of work? Is there a lot of people having smart homes fitted down your neck of the woods?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it's definitely a desired thing. Kind of more wealthy clients are going to have it because it's really expensive AV equipment. But yeah, it's massive in our area for sure. There's a few other companies which do it around here, so they've definitely had a good run of that. So it's nice to move into it for sure, but there's a lot to learn. A lot.
Yeah. And is that something you keep an eye on with the team, sort of trying to learn new things or things that are coming, whether it's EV or other stuff, that you're ahead of the curve on those things as a company?
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to just be able to be like a complete whiz at it, but it's going to take a few years.
Yeah. And presumably there's not a huge amount of competition. I guess you are the company or the representative sort of electricians in your area for that type of stuff?
No, there's another fairly
one.
well-established smart home company locally, but yeah, I mean, it's probably the only one around here. So there's definitely scope to expand into that area. Yeah, see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, and well, there's always room for more than one. And you know, the sort of jobs you do, where's the areas that you have the most fun? What sort of work that you like doing the most?
Do you know, I quite like a sort of small commercial install. I quite like getting involved with some metal work and things. It's nice. You can sort of look at it at the end and think, that looks good. Whereas when you're doing a rewire and stuff, everything's hidden and gone. But no, I do like a lot of elements of the job. I don't like going in lofts very often in the summer.
Oh yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it gets a bit warm.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one. And you talked about one thing I'm interested in. You took on an apprentice. It sounds like you took on an apprentice partly because you knew him, but was that always part of the plan? What's your view on apprenticeships? A lot of people, small business owners, sometimes struggle with the sort of concept of training someone, the amount of effort that involves, all those things. What's your point of view on that?
I think we all started as apprentices, so you got to kind of give them that chance. I mean, not everyone's going to be up for doing to your standard or your work rate.
Right.
So there's going to be only a select few that probably are going to be chosen by you, but you definitely got to give them a chance. I mean, there's a bit of a young kids at the minute don't really know what they want to do, but it's a tricky one. You got to give them a chance, haven't you?
Yeah, and did you find that easy? Did your apprentice sort of come on board and pick it up pretty quick?
Yeah, he's done really well. adapting to, it's like a completely new way of life, I guess, isn't it? But yeah, he's done well. Has his moments as most, but
as we all do.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's good. Yeah, he's good.
And it sounds like you've got a sort of plenty of work on your plate from sort of word of mouth you touched on. Do you think that will continue? How do you think about the future in terms of size of the company and where you want to go?
Yeah, definitely in our areas, word of mouth is key, but getting in with the right kind of builder and make sure that you do work to a good standard, they're going to use you, continue to use you. So I think that's important. We just keep up a high standard, and then it will just keep going. In terms of growth, I'm not fussed on how big it goes. I'm happy if it stayed as it is, but we just continue to do really cool projects. That's what it's about, really.
Yeah, it's great. It's good advice for people. I think I hear that a lot, which is it sort of seems obvious, do a good job, but thinking about that customer experience, everything you deliver at the end of it is really important.
Yeah.
And is there anything you do from a kind of networking perspective on that? When you talked about the builders, like how did you get to know those people? How did you first sort of win that work? Or again, was that more driven by recommendation?
Yeah, so again, I knew most of the builders anyway, but I guess when your kind of time comes around this area, it's really kind of quite close and not spaced out very far. Right. So yeah, an opportunity came with one builder, and he's never used anyone since. And that's kind of how it rolls, I think. I think if you do a good job and you're fair, and that's all they ask, really.
Yeah, no, it's important. I don't think you can underestimate those things when you're starting off your own business, because I think the most great trades companies, it seems, word of mouth and work coming to you via recommendation is more important than trying to generate leads, which is sometimes still a requirement, I think, when you're first setting up. Great.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Cool. We always finish with a rapid set of questions. I think hopefully you would have roughly known what they were. We sort of touched on this. Yeah. First question. I mean, look, you knew your uncle. That's kind of how you landed on being an electrician. If it wasn't electrical, what would you have? What trade would you have picked, do you think?
Yeah, I think I talked about maybe a plumber, but then I kind of thought back then I did love like architecture and building.
Yeah.
So I probably would have somewhere along those lines. I would have liked to have done something like that. I quite like getting involved in designing as well. Yeah, that's quite cool.
And the second question, you may already have your dream vehicle, but if you had an unlimited budget, what vehicle would you purchase?
Yeah, I think a good G-Wagon would be pretty cool.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, I don't think I'll be at that stage for a long time.
Not yet. And then, from a tool perspective, we often ask what's people's favorite brands, but if you had £1,000 spend on any tool of choice, what would it be? Yeah,
I seem to do that too often anyway.
You're doing already, yeah. You're Milwaukee as well. Yeah, they're popular. Yeah. Cool. And then, we talked about apprentices, and this is a question I'm always interested in. You've been one, you've hired one now, so you have quite an interesting perspective on it. Any advice you'd give if someone's an apprentice listening to this? Any advice you'd give them?
Yeah, definitely, because I've been there. Definitely stick it through. It's easy to get 1 year in and think this is rubbish, and I'm not getting paid hardly any money, but that's just part of it. Yeah, I'd definitely say just stick it through and keep going. Definitely.
Yeah, great. Any big myths you think about electrical work that you would shatter?
Well, I always hear everybody say electrician is a clean job, but I beg to differ. I'm always covered in dust from chasing out and things.
Yeah. Cool. Great. And then, where you are and people you come across, anyone you think we should speak to next that would make it for an interesting conversation that you come across?
I think you've already done them, to be fair. But yeah, no, I don't know anyone else.
And do you say do you sort of follow? Do you sort of, how do you keep up to date? Do you go on YouTube and watch what other electricians are doing? Is that something you do regularly?
Yeah, not really regularly, but now and then I will. Yeah, I follow sort of Nick Bundy and Artisan and just give those guys a watch. Yeah, it's good. I'd like to do something myself, but I can't find the time to try and
squeeze in and do that. Yeah,
it's hard. Yeah. But I'd like to do that for sure. But no, I'll just continue to keep watching those guys, I think.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. Great. Well, Kelvin, this has been really, really insightful, and congrats again on the success, because I think it sounds like you've done left school, picked up a trade, and gone out and built your own business, which is not an easy thing to do, and sounds like it's going really, really well. So great to see, and keep it going. Really, really good stuff. Cool.
Thanks very much.
And thanks for joining us. It's really appreciated. And for everyone else, as always, give us comments, feedback, any questions as well. Shoot us an email. And if you want to be on the show, also shoot us an email. Otherwise, you can give us a great review. That would also be appreciated. Until next time. Kelvin, thanks again. See you all soon. Cheers.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Behind the Tools is brought to you by Tradify, job management software for your trade business. If you enjoyed the podcast, let us know by leaving a review. And be sure to tell your mates about it. Email behindthetools@tradifyhq.com if you or someone you know would be keen to join the show as a guest.